Good morning. My name is Kathleen McDonald. I'm with the Transportation Security Administration. I'm joined by Amy Joyce today with the DMV. It's good to be with you all. I'm here today to talk about the beginning of Real ID and its enforcement, which begins on May 7th, 2025. You might have heard a lot of talk about Real ID, but just what is Real ID anyway? Well, Congress passed the Real ID Act in 2005. Congress passed the Real ID Act in 2005, and it was based off recommendations from the 9/11 Commission. The act established minimum security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and ID cards. The Real ID Act also prohibits federal agencies, including the TSA, from accepting a driver's license or ID cards that do not meet those minimum security standards. In a nutshell, when you use a driver's license that meets the Real ID, it will be proof that you are who you say you are. Real ID is intended to improve the reliability of a driver's license and identification cards while inhibiting the ability of those who want to defraud the system from being able to do so. So what is expected to change on May 7th, 2025 when Real ID requirements are enforced at the federal level? Travelers who are 18 years and older, who are Oregon residents and want to use their driver's license to verify their identity here at PDX or anywhere in the country will need to show an Oregon Real ID credential to the TSA officer at the checkpoint. However, I do want to stress that TSA accepts multiple forms of identification beyond the driver's license to include a passport or passport card, an active duty military credential, also known as a CAC card, the DHS Trusted Traveler credential such as Global Entry or Nexus, a lawful permanent resident or border crossing card, a foreign government-issued passport, and other types of ID. We at TSA know that the majority of travelers use their driver's license to verify their identity when they fly commercial. Once enforcement begins, travelers who do not have a Real ID compliant state-issued credential or other form of acceptable ID can expect delays when they arrive at the TSA security checkpoint. The length of that delay is really determined based on the number of other travelers who don't have a Real ID compliant credential or other form of acceptable government ID. Passengers can avoid delay in their travel by ensuring their identification is Real ID compliant or being prepared to present another form of acceptable ID. Even if you don't have travel plans now, your plans could change. So now is the time to plan what type of photo ID that you're going to use when you travel. TSA has had signs posted at airports nationwide to inform the traveling public of the Real ID requirements. We have been engaging travelers one-on-one, encouraging them to act now. Federal enforcement of Real ID is happening soon. Please be sure to take the steps necessary to ensure you have the proper identification for the next time you travel. Now I'll turn it over to Amy Joyce with the DMV. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and thanks for this opportunity. My name is Amy Joyce and I'm the administrator of Oregon's DMV. So DMV is seeing record number of customers at this time. So we've been promoting people to get informed, make a choice, and then take action. And Oregonians are hearing that call and showing up to the DMV in droves. So we're doing record numbers, and we have expanded by thousands the number of Real ID appointment slots that we have every week. We've deployed staff from headquarters to various areas in the Portland metro area to assist in helping customers, but know that it's very busy at DMV right now. So I have a couple of recommendations for folks as they're considering what to do next. First is think about if you need a Real ID right now. If you've already got a passport or a passport card, that's going to work for you come May 7th. Or if you're not planning to fly for quite a while, consider delaying a little bit until this surge passes by somewhat. Secondly, try to set an appointment. Again, we've expanded our appointments by thousands. And so if you can get an appointment, that's going to be the best, most efficient way for you to get in and out of the DMV quickly. We do take walk-ins every day at every office for Real ID, but that is probably going to take a significant amount of wait time. So we do ask that you be patient with our staff. And third, be sure to bring what you need when you do come to DMV. So you can go online and use an online tool to figure out exactly the documents you need to bring so that when you do show up to DMV, you can get in and out the first time being issued that Real ID. The most common thing that people forget is you need 2 different forms of current address proof. So if your DMV document has your current address, that's great, that's one. We're going to need a second address document that's not from DMV, so a utility bill or another piece of mail, something like that with your current address. We don't want to have to send you home to get that other document and bring it back to the DMV. So again, record numbers of folks coming to DMV. Please be patient with us. We're moving as quickly as we can to get people through the DMV, and remember too that Real ID is coming and beginning May 7th, but it's going on into the future, and so as we move forward, you'll continue to be able to get that Real ID and think about when you're going to need it and what to bring.
At this time, we'd like to open it up for any questions.
So on May 7th, you can still travel with the driver's license, but you might have to go through some type of other checkpoint or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah, the question is, beginning May 7th, you will still be able to travel with another form of ID that's not Real ID compliant, but you may experience additional delays. So yes, the answer to that is, if you're traveling without a Real ID excuse me, let me restate that. If you're traveling without a state-issued Real ID compliant ID card or driver's license or other type of acceptable ID, you will still be allowed to travel. I want to confirm that. However, you may experience additional delays and some additional security as well.
Should you expect maybe a cutoff point in the future past May 7th where that may no longer be the case?
Yeah, the question is whether or not we accept if we expect a cutoff period in the future after May 7th rollout. What I'll say to that is at this point, we're working with the traveling public. We want to ensure that everybody makes it on their flight. So right now, we're trying to do our best to plan operationally so that we can minimize the length of time that people are waiting. It's just that if you don't have that Real ID compliant state-issued driver's license or ID, you might expect those additional delays.
You mentioned extra staff in the Portland area. Elsewhere in the state, especially rural areas where we're seeing some DMVs close because of staffing shortages, how are those offices handling a potential surge for Real ID appointments?
Yeah, so we're seeing surges of customers in really every population center in the state. So think Tri-County Metro, Salem, Eugene, Roseburg, Medford, and Bend, Redmond, as well as Ontario. So in many rural places, we're not seeing that kind of surge, but certainly we do have that issue with day-to-day closures due to staffing. So folks need to plan ahead. Another item where folks need to plan ahead is when you leave DMV after a successful transaction, you're walking out with what is basically a receipt. That plastic card is going to show up in the mail 2 to 3 weeks later, and that's what you're going to need to get on the plane. My understanding is TSA is not going to accept that paper card, so you do have to plan ahead. Please don't come to us the day before your flight thinking you're going to walk out with that plastic. That's not how it works.
Just to clarify, go back. You've got to go into the DMV to get your Real ID. You can't get in a kiosk once you feel like it's
Yeah.
You can't do it online.
Right, you have to come in to a DMV field office to get your first Real ID. There's no online option, there's no kiosk option. That's because of the documents that you have to show, and we have to scan and verify. Once you have a Real ID, eventually you'll be able to renew that online, but that's not where anybody is right now, so you have to come into the DMV field office.
So when you come in to the DMV, you can choose to get a Real ID or you can choose to get a license that's not a Real ID. Will you ever see that license phased out and just go straight to Real ID as the option for Oregonians?
It is an option for Oregonians, and when the legislature passed that Real ID law, it was important to them that Oregonians have a choice. So it's state law right now that we offer both, and I don't see that changing, but certainly that's why we say, get informed, make that choice, and then take action. I have an interpretive dance if you wanted to see it. So yeah, he leans in to get the shot.
Yeah, thank you.